YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. It's a pleasure to be back, and it's nice to be here with you guys. I hope you are all doing well. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning that we do come to you live from Kampala, Uganda. It's approximately 24 minutes past top of the hour. And so, yeah, indulge me as we get into the conversation today. Because like the case often always is, there is plenty for us to discuss in as far as transfers are concerned, in as far as football updates go. Club friendlies, UEFA Champions League qualifiers, among other things. So we'll get into the depth of that conversation today, and I mean, why do we even get it all started? But before we even think of getting it started, I want to say thank you to every single one of you that has recently joined the Footballtribe UG community. I thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for liking our content. Please continue to do the same. Always join us every single day, Monday to Saturday, between 9 and 10 a.m. To get the latest from the world of football. Of course, we're only about 9 days away to the kickoff of some of your favorite leagues, the Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, and beyond. So we will be looking to break some of that down, especially in the Premier League, in regards to how we think teams are best prepared for the upcoming season. And I'll be giving you my preliminary predictions as regards to where I think our teams will finish as far as the running for the Premier League title will go, among other predictions. We do have a request for us to set up, the fantasy football Premier League, for Footballtribe people. I'm looking into that. It's something that is on my mind. But yeah, let's see if what will be coming what will bring to you in the coming days. But we'll look to formalize that in a bit. Just as so much is happening on my plate, there are some things have slipped through the cracks. So let me actually note that down. Footballtribe. Anyways, before I go any further, people like Pedri, Tester of Life, people like Rodrigo, and all our usual suspects. Thank you so much. Non-usual suspects, we still do appreciate you a great deal. And then of course, the irregular suspects, I would not take your time for granted. We also equally appreciate you for your input, helping this channel grow. So yeah, and this morning, okay, and I think I forgot to update our headline, but yeah, we'll be talking about Liverpool striker Darwin Nunez, among other things, because looks like there is an agreement in place between Liverpool and Al-Hilal for the transfer of the Uruguayan striker. We'll be talking about that and a lot more. But why do we kick things off? Let's perhaps kick things off with Chad. That's the African Nations Championships, because games to continue today. Yesterday, Senegal beat up against Nigeria by a goal to nil, while Congo and Sudan did share the scores in a goalless draw. Sorry, in a 1-1 draw. I do not know why my mouth is running ahead of my brain, but apologies on that one. So it was a 1-1 draw between Congo and Sudan, while Senegal, the reigning champions, did lose to Nigeria by goal to nil. Today at 5 p.m. East African time, Burkina Faso, after losing by 2 goals to nil in their opening fixture against Tanzania, they do press off with Central African Republic. Remember, we entered match day 2 of this 1-month tournament. Then Mauritania will be up against Tanzania. Mauritania will be up against Tanzania at 8 p.m. East African time. That's the same time that I think the Aston Villa will also be, going on. Quickly away from that, we do have the UEFA Champions League qualifications round going on. Lots of your teams are include in action today, including Slovan Bratislava in action against Kairat Almaty. There, FC Salzburg will be up against Club Brugge. Ludogorets Razgrad up against Ferencvaros, while Lech Poznan are up against Crvena Zvezda. While Feyenoord are up against Fenerbahce. I think that's a very, very interesting game to look forward to between Feyenoord and Fenerbahce. Jose Mourinho on the side of on the touchline for Fenerbahce there. Nice will be up against Benfica. I think that's going to be a very, very other interesting fixture. Those games kicking off. The game between Feyenoord and Fenerbahce will kick off at 10 p.m. just like that, and between Nice and Benfica. While the game between while other games do come at 8, 9:30, 8:30, as well as 6 p.m. And then same applies for the UEFA qualification round. RFS will be up against QPS. Reject will be up against excuse me, my screen scrolled. Reject will be up against Shelbourne there. So that's in as far as the UEFA Champions League qualifiers and the UEFA Europa League qualifiers go. Excuse me. Anyways, so that's what to expect from the world of football for those of you that are interested in the action that will be coming your way to between actually today. So then in terms of club friendlies, of course, those ones equally continue. So many, apologies. I think I loaded the wrong page. Yes, in terms of club friendlies, there's a lot more to come. Lille will be up against Venezia. Then, Arsenal up against Villarreal, Deportivo La Corona up against Real Oviedo. I can see some games look to be, I don't know, they have an RO. I don't know if that means rescheduled. Aston Villa will be up against Roma. That's at 9:30. So do not miss out on that. Royal Betis will be up against Como. A very, very interesting fixture that I think you should look forward to. Royal Valladolid up against Getafe. Bayern Munich do take on Tottenham Hotspurs at 7:30 p.m. East African time. That's in as far as club friendlies go. Al Nassr up against Rio Ave, while Augsburg up against Pisa. That's at 7 p.m. The Al Nassr game is at 10 p.m. East African time. So there's so many. Chelsea are going to be up against Bayer Leverkusen, but that game does come in 2 days' time on the 8th of August. Actually, some of those games, yes. Bayern Munich versus Tottenham Hotspurs, that game will be on tomorrow. So thank you guys. And for those of you that are just joining us, kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel and help me grow to 2,000 subscribers. And so thank you so much. But yeah, those are some of the friendly games that will be coming your way in as far as club friendlies go. Nottingham Forest and Fiorentina, that's yesterday's results, were involved in a goalless draw. Sassuolo and Empoli, it was a goalless draw. Bayer Leverkusen beat up against Pisa by 3-0. That's in as far as yesterday's results go. So yeah, that's what I can give you as an update when it comes to club friendlies and some of the fixtures that did happen and some of the results that did happen. Then quickly, where do we run to? I think we should run to the gist of the day, to the topic of the day that involves Darwin Nunez, because this is quite very, very interesting, and it looks like things are taking shape faster than we had all anticipated, because according to Fabrizio Romano, AlHilal are close to getting Darwin Nunez deal done after a verbal agreement has been reached in place with Liverpool. Club-to-club agreement is done with AlHilal, and while AlHilal are in talks with Darwin Nunez over personal terms, decision is up to Darwin Nunez, but talks underway. Inzaghi wants him. Remember, Al Nassr had targeted Victor Osimhen prior to their participation in the FIFA Club World Cup this summer, but the 26-year-old Nigerian striker turned them down, opting to join Galatasaray, where he did complete that move on a 3-year contract and now they did switch their attention to Darwin Nunez, who equally was being tracked by AC Napoli, but unfortunately for Napoli, they were priced out of a deal to sign the 26-year-old Uruguayan striker. And now it looks like Simone Inzaghi is on the verge of convincing Darwin Nunez to make the switch from the UK to go over there to the Saudi Pro League. Hello, Michael Tyson. How are you doing, Mike Tyson? Wow, what makes you think I'm Mike Tyson? Am I built like Mike Tyson? I wouldn't think by a long shot. I would love to think that Mike Tyson has a broader body. He looks beefed up and things like that. But John Boy, good to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for your comments. Anyways, so Darwin Nunez, I mean, he's a player that a lot has been said about really, but I mean, he does have the potential to hack it in a different environment, but things have not happened for him in a Liverpool jersey, really. Yeah, man, but what? He's a player that we would have loved for him to succeed, especially in a Liverpool jersey. But when you look at the past 3 seasons, I mean, his tally of 24 goals in actually not 24 goals, about 20 what? About 26 goals. Yes, about 26 goals in 3 seasons. 26 goals and probably 13 assists. That gives him an overall 39 goal involvement in what? In over 80 games? Yeah, in over 80 games. Actually, could be 90 in over 90 games. It doesn't really look pretty. Those numbers do not look pretty, considering that Liverpool paid in the excess of 85 million pounds. Sorry, they paid in the excess of 85 million euros to land his services back in 2022. So the numbers have really not stood on his side. When you look at the UEFA Champions League, in 2 seasons, he has only 5 goals and 1 assist. That's in about 17 appearances. UEFA Europa League, he did score 5 goals in 10 games. That was 2022, 2023. So it's really, really not look pretty on paper in terms of deliverables. But yeah, he's that kind of guy that you would think he would thrive, perhaps in a different league, in a different environment. In preseason, he's been quite electric. He so far scored 5 goals, including the hat-trick against Stoke City. He did score the other day against Athletic Bilbao in that opening game that had Rio Gomoha also score. So he's looked decent in preseason, but like I've always told you, he is a player that Liverpool are looking to move on before, and then of course they will be making more additions to that squad. My gut feeling says that Liverpool could get themselves perhaps 3 or more 4 signings, depending on how they view things. For example, if Darwin Nunez is moved on eventually, you do expect a replacement in the squad, whether it's going to be a winger or a striker. For now, it looks like it could be a striker in Alexander Isak, even though a deal is yet to be reached between Liverpool and Newcastle. Then you do expect, we all know about the unfortunate demise of Diego Jota. You need to fill up that space. Then Luis Diaz has since left for Bayern Munich. We've been always talking that Liverpool need at least 2 centre backs to sort of fill that, to offer backup, bodies for Virgil van Dijk away from just Joe Gomez and Wataru Endo, excuse me, who at the moment look like Liverpool's plan B should things go sideways with Ibrahim Konate and his counterpart in Virgil van Dijk, also the club captain over there. And then perhaps another body in that central midfield. But so far, we'll just have to wait this one and see. Javi Elliot is being targeted by RB Leipzig as a potential replacement for Xavi Simons, who could join Chelsea anytime soon, should a deal be struck for the 22-year-old Dutch attacking forward. So that's the situation with that. And Liverpool, sorry, back to the conversation of Darwin Nunez, is very, very open to going to the Saudi Pro League. They just need to strike an agreement with Al Nassr on personal terms, and perhaps here we go could be around the corner. Away from that, today I wanted us to run through the latest from the world of transfers in respect to what your favorite in respect to what kind of deals that Premier League teams have been able to complete, or to players that have come in, players that have left, and things like that. So we will go through them in alphabetical order, and this compilation is by Sky Sport. So that's our source for this information in case there's something you do disagree with. So kicking things off with Arsenal, of course, they've already brought in as many as 6 players. Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea for £5 million, Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad for £51 million, Christian Nogard from Brentford for an initial £10 million, rising to 15. Then Noni Madueke for £52 million, while Christian Mosquera did join from Valencia for £13 million. Victor Gyökeres then in from Sporting CP for £63.5 million. The outgoings include Jorginho to Flamengo as a free agent, Kian Tierney to Barclay Celtic as a free agent. Then you do have Nuno Tavares going to Lazio, according to Sky Sports, for £4.3 million, although I am inclined to believe that it's a lot more than that. Marquinhos did join at Cruzeiro for an undisclosed fee, while Takahiro Tomiyasu was released. Then Thomas Partey was equally released at the end of his contract. So there have been 6 incomings and 6 outgoings. And that's why, for me, I've previously made the argument that when you, on paper, when you look at Arsenal's transfers, even though they look many, that 6 looks many, but they've only been replacements for what they have already lost. Excuse me, they've only been replacements for what they've already lost in the course of the summer. Meanwhile, to Aston Villa, they did sign Yassine Oskan from Kasim Pasa for an undisclosed fee. Then Zepiqueno Redmond from Feyenoord as a free agent. Marco Bizot from Brest for an undisclosed fee, while Modu Kebasi, Keba Sisse from LASK or LASK there for an undisclosed fee. Then he did get sent back on loan to the same team. That's as one of the exits. Enzo Berenecha to Benfica on loan. Robin Olsen, Rico Richards to Port Valley or to Port Vale. Then Josh Penny to Huddersfield Town, all those on loan. Rico Richards did move permanently for an undisclosed fee. Felipe Correa Coutinho, this one being released, joining Vasco da Gama for an undisclosed fee. Then Lowy Barry to Sheffield United on loan, Costa to RB Leipzig, and a couple of other youngsters. In terms of AFC Bournemouth, they've lost they brought in George Petrovic from Chelsea, Eli Junior Krupol from Lorient, and Adrian Trafford from Stade Rennes there for £14.4 million, while Chelsea's George Petrovic cost them £25 million. Oh, I don't know why I'm overlaying this early, beautiful Wednesday morning. But among the outgoings is Milos Kakes for £40 million to Liverpool, Dean Howson to Real Madrid for £50 million, Jadon Anthony to Burnley for £10 million, Mark Travers for £4 million to Everton, Daniel Jebson to Preston on loan, while Max Aarons is also joining Rangers on loan. Joey Rothwell at Rangers for an undisclosed fee. In regards to Brentford, they brought in Michael Kayode from Fiorentina, Romele Donovan from Birmingham, Komen Kelleher from Liverpool for £18 million, Anthony Anthony Nilambo from Feyenoord there, and Jordan Henderson from Ajax as a free agent. And the outgoings they include Tony Yogan, then Benmi, those Tony did live for Dundee unknown. Benmi released Mark Flecken, Leverkusen for 11 million pounds, Christian Noga to Arsenal for 15 million pounds, and Brandon Bumo for 71 million pounds to Manchester United. Brighton and Hove Albion have brought in Maxime Di Copia from Club Brugge for 17 million pounds, while Olivia Boscagli from PSV Eindhoven, James from FV, Diego Copla from Hellas Verona for 9 million pounds, while Tom Watson did came in from Sunderland for 10 million pounds. John De Jong there did join, as well as Chalampos Kostoras. That's the Greek from Olympiacos for 31.4 million pounds. Arguably, so far, they are most expensive buy in this transfer window. JFFTBL, hi, how are you? Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast. Love your content, Paul. Thank you so much for the love and support. It's good to have you join us this beautiful morning. At the point of you joining us, we are making a run through all the incomings and outgoings from all the Premier League teams so far, which is quite plenty by the might I mention. Perhaps more than I figured there could be, and I may look to skim them. No problem, King. I may look to skim through them and focus on the major ones. For example, Brighton have had a major exodus. Ivan Ferguson to AS Roma on an initial loan deal. Simon Adingra to Sunderland. They are going for 20.5 million pounds. Hello, good morning to all Liverpool fans. This is Mariam from Uganda. Good to have you, Mariam. Nalmasi, always a pleasure. Kindly leave us a like on the podcast as well. So then João Pedro to Chelsea for 60 million pounds. Pavis Estupinan to AC Milan for 17.4 million pounds. James Bell to Birmingham on loan. Okay, bye man. I need to go. See you soon. I will subscribe. Thank you so much, JF. Thank you so much for that sub, and it was a pleasure seeing you here. Have yourself a very, very wonderful day. Then Valentin Bako to Strasbourg for disclosed P. Those are among some of the outgoings. There's a couple of very many others, by the way, youngsters that have gone out on majority on loans and things like that. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you for the love and support. We are trying to, reach 2,000 subscribers. That's the target at the moment. So your love and support is well appreciated. In terms of Burnley, for their incomings, they include Kyle Walker from Manchester City for 5 million pounds, Loam Chouna from Lazio for 12 million pounds, Axel Tuanzebe from Ipswich as a free agent, Hartman from Feyenoord for an undisclosed fee, Bashir Humphrey from Chelsea for 10 million pounds. By the way, Burnley have shopped a lot from Chelsea, including Leslie Ugochukwu, who is not yet on this list, as well as Amanda Broja. So Jacob Brand Larson from Stuttgart, Max Weiss, as well as Zian Fleming from Millwall for 7 million pounds, Marcus Edwards from Sporting City for 8.5 million pounds, Jadon Anthony from Bournemouth for 8 million pounds. Those are some of the incomings. While the exits include James Trafford to Manchester City for 31 million pounds, Josh Brownhill released, Nathan Redmond released, John Joe Shelby released, Ethan Riley to Marseille as a free agent, Andreas to St. Pauli on loan, Han Noah Masengo to Augsburg, undisclosed, while Joe Wesley to Dundee for undisclosed fee. Then we move on to Chelsea. Chelsea have equally had so many incomings, including Jamie Gittens from Dortmund for 51.5 million pounds, Joao Pedro from Brighton for 60 million pounds, Liam Delap for 30 million pounds from Ipswich, while Joel Hartwell did join for 38.5 million pounds from Ajax. William Esteval for 29 million pounds. Remember, this one was signed last summer, and was left out on loan, but is officially recorded as a new recruit joining in this season. William Esteval from Parameters. Dario Esugo joining in from Sporting CP. Sorry. Dario Esugo. I need to clarify something when it comes to Dario Esugo. I get the feeling that something has been mixed up a bit here. Yes, Dario Esugo did join from Las Palmas. I do not know why. For some reason, Sky Sport have it listed as Sporting City, but he did join from Las Palmas. Was signed in January and left out their own season-long loan. Then Mamadou Sarr did join from Strasbourg for 12 million pounds, while Henry Pierce from Independiente did join for 17.3 million pounds. Kennedy Pierce has been sent on loan to Strasbourg. Same applies for Mamadou Sarr. Then George Petrovic to Bournemouth for 25 million pounds. Bashir Humphrey to Burnley. Marcus Bettinelli to Manchester City undisclosed transfer fees. Kepa Arrizabalaga to Arsenal for 5 million pounds. Matthias Amogu to Strasbourg for undisclosed fee. Zach Stritch there to Millwall undisclosed fee. Noni Madueke to Arsenal for 52 million pounds. Caleb Whaley to Watford on loan. Mike Penders to Strasbourg. Joao Felix to Al Nassr for 43.7 million pounds. Samuel Smith to Strasbourg. But I've told you, even Mamadou Sarr, that's the centre back, did go back to Strasbourg on an initial loan. There's a couple of other names that we do expect to leave Chelsea, including Raheem Sterling, Kanare Chukwuemeka, Leslie Ugochukwu, and Amando Broja. Like I said, those two are the latter are joining Burnley. So still remains a massive clearance from that Chelsea side, but also do expect more incomings. As far as Crystal Palace are concerned, they have signed Bona Sosa from Ajax for 3 million pounds, Walter Benitez from PSV Eindhoven as for free, while outgoings include Rob Holding to Colorado Rapids, Joel Ward released, Jeffrey Schirap to Norwich on a free as a free agent, Louis Molden released, Owen Goodman to Huddersfield Town on loan, Joe Whitworth to Exeter on loan, Danny Emery to Blackpool on loan, David Ozo to Derby on loan, and Malcolm Ebowe to Blackpool for an undisclosed fee. In regards to Everton, hi, I'm back. Good to have you, JF. Good to have you back. Everton have signed, Charlie Alcaraz from Flamengo for 12 million pounds, Theon Barry from Villarreal for 27 million pounds, Mark Rivers from Bournemouth for 4 million pounds, and Adam Asno from Bayern Munich for 10 million pounds. The remaining pursuit for players like Keenan Grisbury-Hall from Chelsea, for players like Tyler Dibling from Southampton, among others, as well as Malik Fofana from Olympic Lyon. Then the outgoings do include Abdoulaye Diakore, released as a free agent. Ashley Young, Sam joined Ipswich Town. Asmir Begovic has joined Leicester City. Joao Virginia released. Neil Mope released, as well as Mason Holgate. When you go down to Fulham, they've only signed Benjamin Benjamin Lecote. Therefore, Montpellier, they do remain interested in signing Alexander Zinchenko from Arsenal, as well as Bruce Nelson. The outgoings include Carlos Vinicius, William Borges de Silva released, Lucas Ashby, Hammond, Calm Osmond, as well as Stephen Bender. Those are some of the releases from Fulham. When you take it a notch down to Leeds United, and you search a great streamer, I will say to all my friends to subscribe to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kindness. Lucas Perry did join Leeds United from Olympic Lyon for 15.6 million pounds. Sean Longstaff did join from Newcastle for 12 million pounds. Gabriel Goodmanson from Lille for £10 million. Jack Bijol from Udinese for £15 million. Lucas Menka there for VfB Wolfsburg for as a free agent, and as well as Sebastian from Wolfsburg for £5.1 million, and Anton Stach from Hoffenheim for £17.4 million. So those have been some of the incomings for Leeds United, while they do have a whole, they have about 4 releases or outgoings, including Max Wober to Werder Bremen on loan, Junior Firpo released, as well as Joe Snowden to Swindon. Those are some of the outgoings. Let's jump on to Liverpool. Milos Kakes from Bournemouth for £40 million. Brian Vitz from Bayer Leverkusen for £116 million. Jeremy Frimpong for £29.5 million. George Mamadashvili for £29 million from Valencia. That's the goalkeeper. Then Hugo Ekitike from Frankfurt for £79 million. Amin Pex there, Puskas Academia for £1.5 million, as well as Freddie Woodman. This one gained as a free agent after being released from Preston and North End. Outgoings include Alexander Arnold for £10 million. That's Komen Kelleher to Brentford for £18 million, while Joel Quensha did join Bayer Leverkusen for £35 million. Luis Diaz has since joined Bayern Munich for £65 million. Tyler Morton to Olympic Lyon for £15 million, while Nat Phillips has joined West Brom for £3 million. Jaros to Ajax on loan, as well as Owen Beck to Derby on loan. N, hi. So you say, yo, N, where are you joining us from? Do let me know down in the comment section, and I will be reading your comments. Quickly, let's slot down to Manchester City, because they did sign Tijani Reinders from AC Milan. Do you think we should sign Alexander Isak? Most definitely. There is a video that I did down on the channel under the video section. I don't know if, but when you do have a moment, go check it out. It has the title that reads something like, why I think Liverpool should break the bank to sign Alexander Isak. So I do think that Liverpool should go and sign Alexander Isak. Will it stand to sabotage the way Liverpool already apply themselves? Yes, it could, but also it could be for the better. And the reason as to why I say that is because present day Liverpool have always had Mo Salah as the target man, as the star of the team when it comes to goals and assists. I personally want a CB first. You're so right about that. I think when it comes to priorities, I think a centre back should be first in that pecking order. It should be a centre back first, a central midfielder, a winger, and then a striker. But when it comes to Alexander Isak, remember he's always been a primary target for Liverpool. They see that as an opportunity in the market, because it's not every day that you chance yourself upon the possibility of signing a Premier League proven 24-year-old striker like Alexander Isak, who managed to score 23 goals in the Premier League last season and provided 6 assists, giving him a 29 goal involvement in 34 Premier League games. So that does not come very often. So they look at it as an opportunity in the market that they want to, to leverage on. But in my opinion, I think I would agree with you that a centre back should be perhaps the first signing. When you look at Liverpool's centre back options, they're really, really limited. You look at Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate, and then you look at the backups at Joe Gomez and Wataru Endo. We all know that Wataru Endo is a makeshift centre back because he is a holding midfielder naturally, but then Joe Gomez also is a very injury-prone kind of player, almost unreliable in terms of his availability. But when he's fully fit, he's that kind of player that can give you a good couple of minutes. So I do get the feeling that Liverpool really, really need to strengthen in their backline, because you never know. Anything can happen with injuries. You could kick a ball, season kicks off 2 games in, and then suddenly one of your star players in either Ibrahim Konate or Virgil van Dijk suffers a hamstring injury that keeps him out for 2-3 months, which then could have a significant impact on how you play. Then when you look at that midfield for Liverpool, again in the position of Ryan Gravenberch, I know you can make amendments when it comes to players like Dominic Soboslai or Alexis McAllister to play for you uh, in that deep lying role of a central midfielder. But we all know they may not give you the same, performances as Brian Gravenberch. So, in the absence of Brian Gravenberch, Wataru Endi is the player to look at, but I feel that they could use an extra body in that central midfield. I've made recommendations for a player like Carlos Baleba, so much to the contrary of some opinions from some Liverpool fans, but I think a player like Carlos Baleba is really, really good. But also, you bear in mind that for the last two transfer windows, Liverpool have been trying to sign a central midfielder. They tried with Romeo Lavia, they tried with Moises Caicedo, who they are willing to pay about 110 million pounds before they lost both of those players to Chelsea. They tried to sign Martin Zubimendi last summer. He declined and stayed with Royal Sociedad, has since moved to Arsenal, and things like that. So when I'm assessing where Liverpool look a little bit weaker or vulnerable, those are the key areas. Then when it comes to the winger, of course, having lost Luis Diaz, who was a significant contributor when it came to goals and assists, particularly last season across all competitions, but in the Premier League particularly, he did have um, 13 goals and 5 assists. That's an 18-goal involvement, arguably the best in the Liverpool colours in a Premier League season. So you've lost that one to Bayern Munich, so you need a replacement. Bearing in mind that you also did lose Diego Jota, unfortunately, and also Darwin Nunez is on his way out with already a deal in place, agreed, according to Fabrizio Romano, between Al-Hilal and Liverpool on the transfer of Darwin Nunez. It's personal terms that are still being negotiated over. What do you think? Who do you think is bigger challenger for Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal? The bigger challenger, I would say Manchester City. When it comes to rivaling them for possibly the Premier League title, I would say Manchester City come first. And I do not think there's any other team that is going to come closer than that. Others, I think they will remain in that sort of a B bracket. That's where they could remain. I'm talking about teams like Newcastle, teams like Aston Villa. Perhaps, I do not know. Manchester United, they could break back through. Tottenham Hotspurs, maybe Nottingham Forest, if they go on to have a good season once again in that sort of bracket. Then you say JF, you say Arsenal. What do you mean Arsenal? In regards to what I think about Arsenal, or you just mentioned that? Love your content. Thank you so much. I think it's Chelsea. That's in responding. Go and back. Good to have you back. Who will win the Premier League? So far, at this moment, I'm still inclined to think that Liverpool still have the upper hand. Now, there's a lot of factors that could, upset that prediction. But at this stage, I'm thinking it's either Liverpool or Arsenal. But the reason why I put Liverpool above Arsenal is because Liverpool are the reigning champions, and you can't take that away from them. You look at how they've strengthened in key positions. At left back, bringing in Milos Kakez to support Andy Robertson. You look at right back, they replaced Jeremy Frimpong. They brought in Jeremy Frimpong, where Trent Alexander-Arnold was. Conor Bradley does remain in that squad. Then you look at the attacking midfield or creative midfield, adding Florian Wirtz. We all know his capabilities, posting a 22-goal involvement for 2 consecutive seasons in the German Bundesliga, including that 2023-2024 double cup winning season when they won the German Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal, and then last season. So very, very impressive for those of you that have chanced yourselves upon watching him during the course of this preseason. In some games, you will say that he is a very, very exciting prospect in as far as Liverpool are concerned. Then you look at the addition of Hugo Ekitike, who I believe is a replacement for Darwin Nunez in terms of the squad, but also hoping that he will be a better player when it comes to, banging in the goals, perhaps to post better numbers than Darwin Nunez. So those are some, and then of course you still have the presence of Mohamed Salah, because once they got him on a new contract, in my opinion, it felt like a new signing. Same applies for Virgil van Dijk. His leadership will remain crucial in that backline. Let's not forget. So they now retain the spine of the team, which they further strengthened. You have Mo Salah, you have Virgil van Dijk, you do have Alison Ramsey-Baker, Alexis McAllister, Dominic Soboslai in that squad. So they really, really look good. While Javi Elliot could leave the club, he's still an option in that team. You look at youngsters coming through like Ngomoho. You look at what's his name? Is it Ngoni, something like that? There's a young kid that I've predominantly seen in preseason, and they look exciting. You have a squad player like Timikas, very, very valuable member of that squad. Jeff says, okay, I think I need to retreat a little bit back. Okay. Jeff says, I mean, Arsenal will be challenging for Liverpool. Sorry, I really, it's all right. It's all good, Jeff. Dennis Jukes, a Newcastle fan, says this transfer window has been as shambolic as a Newcastle fan. With Sesko going to Manchester United, Isak can stay now. No more options. By the time I came to this broadcast, it hadn't been confirmed that Benjamin Sesko was choosing Manchester United over Newcastle, but there's an increasing feeling that he is probably going to choose Man United over Newcastle, because yesterday, according to Fabrizio Romano, he did highlight that Manchester United were feeling much stronger that they will be able to land Benjamin Sesko, while Newcastle set a 48-hour ultimatum for the player to decide on where he wants to play, or whether he will be choosing Newcastle or Manchester United, for them to have clarity. But yes, Newcastle, while I think it's not been the best of transfer windows for them, really, because they've only been able to bring in, I think, Anthony Elanga and Aaron Ramsdale are on loan from Southampton. But when you look at all their other primary targets, they've lost out to, that's James Trafford returning to Manchester City, the 22-year-old England goalkeeper, Joao Pedro going to Chelsea, choosing Chelsea over them. Then, of course, they had interest in signing Benjamo, but they were not the only team. Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea were all interested. He chose Manchester United over anybody else. So I think there's, no problem in that. So Dean Howson was a primary target for them. I chose Real Madrid over them, but they were not the only ones. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea were equally all interested, and that one is very, very understandable. So while we may critique Newcastle's transfer business in terms of how they've acted, I think it's really, really not boiled down to them entirely. It's been part in players' preferences. Really, to say I'd love to join this club over you, but at least it has not been without a show of intent to try and strengthen the squad. You remember they lost Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool. They were the first team to make an official bid for Hugo Ekitike that was in the region of £17 million. When it has come to the push for Benjamin Sesko, they were the ones to first put in an official bid, which was rejected. A total of 80 million euros, 75 million euros guaranteed fees, plus 5 million euros in expected add-ons. That one was turned down, and they went back in with an improved offer of a total of 90 million euros, 80 million euros guaranteed, plus 10 million euros in add-ons, expecting that it was a very, very acceptable offer for RB Leipzig, while waiting on the green light from the player side, albeit they had already agreed to personal terms in principle, according to multiple sources. But the same player did also agree to terms with Manchester United on the other end, while Manchester United was still only promising to even send in their bid. That bid officially went in yesterday to RB Leipzig at a total of about 85 million euros, 75 million euros guaranteed fees, plus 10 million euros in expected add-ons, and RB Leipzig are yet to communicate on which offer has been accepted from either side. On paper, it looks like Newcastle's deal is much better, because it's in addition of, it has an extra 5 million euros, but you look at that, but there's a lot of things, a number of factors that could append that. Even though Newcastle's offer is better, it could boil down to payment structure, to payment terms, a future sell-on clause, which I believe that Newcastle want to negate by increasing their offer from 80 to 90 million euros as a total package. So things like that. I think today is going to be very crucial, and perhaps today and tomorrow are going to be very, very crucial in knowing where Benjamin Sesko will be playing his football next season. In regards to keeping Alexander Isak, for me, I've always argued that even if Newcastle were to sign a top striker like Benjamin Sesko, even if it was going to be Hugo Ekitike, I've always been of the view that Newcastle need to hold to their guns and keep Alexander Isak at least for one more season, because you're going to be participating in the UEFA Champions League, but also bearing in mind that you go back into a difficult Premier League season, for which once again you would like to finish within the top four and qualify for Champions League football. And one way to give yourself better odds at achieving that is by keeping your key player like Alexander Isak as this new striker, whichever they will be, gets tried to fit in. Let's not forget, if you need a prime example of that, look back at Newcastle when Ed Howe had just walked through the door, and look back at that Newcastle. Look back at when they had just signed Alexander Isak and he could only play 22 games and scored about 10 goals, providing 1 assist. Again, you need players that are going to give you more goals. Anthony Gordon, very good player, but his numbers need improvement in terms of overall assists and goals are contributed. I think he needs to be getting the numbers of Jacob Murphy, while Jacob Murphy edges out slightly. So that's how I do think about Newcastle. I do not think first of all, they are not desperate to sell. They're in a strong position, both financially and contract-wise, when it comes to Alexander Isak. So that will be my opinion when it comes to the player. Where are you from? I am from Bangladesh. That's N. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. Very small country, nestled in the eastern part of Africa. Neighboring countries like Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi. Those are some of our immediate neighbors, as well as the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we're a small landlocked country in there. I hope that paints for you the picture in regards to where I'm from. I mean, Arsenal will challenge Liverpool. I think I've answered that. It's okay, JF. Thank you. Dennis, you come back to say do not want Nicholas Jackson. 10 goals last season, and Chelsea value him at £60 million. Do not want Watkins. Now, when it comes to Nicholas Jackson is a very good player in my opinion, because, by the way, let's not forget, it's not every day that you have a new Premier League striker post a 19-goal involvement in their debut season. He did score 14 goals and provided 5 assists. Yes, he does miss lots of chances, and that's a fair criticism to him. He does miss lots of chances, but the Premier League can take a bit of time for even the best of players to sometimes get acclimatized to. When it comes to the valuation itself, I think there's an overvaluation of the player, but particularly one, because Chelsea are not desperate to sell. That's for one. Two, so they are in the luxury of wanting to sell. They are open to listening to offers, but they are not desperate to sell. Two, the player is on a very long-term contract. What is it? A 7-8 year contract? So you look at that. In fact, you're quoting £60 million. At some point, suggestions did point to about 80 to 100 million pounds, which I thought was ridiculous. And I did say that there's no same club in New York or even in the Saudi Pro League was going to be willing to pay 80 million pounds for Nicholas Jackson, whose goal involvement is about 24 goals in 65 appearances plus 10 assists. That's a 34 overall goal involvement in 65 games, which is not bad. Those are good numbers, by the way. Those are good numbers. But for 65 million pounds, for a player that they bought for about what? Was it 29 million pounds or under that? Just 2 seasons ago, for me, I do not find that very sufficient. So I do agree with you that 60 million pounds is a little too high. When it comes to Oli Watkins, for me, I would take Oli Watkins on any given day. Now, his valuation when it comes to Oli Watkins is also still high, given that he turns 30 in December. But when it comes to being Premier League proven, a player very capable of scoring goals, player that can play with another striker. If you're playing a 4-4-2 system or you want to play him as a 10, I think that's very, very good. But I also still feel that 60 million pounds is on a bit of a high. I would want to believe that at least 40 to 45 million pounds should be sufficient to get a deal done for Oli Watkins. But you also get to understand the kind of position that Aston Villa are in. In overvaluing him, they want to fend off interest in a way from potential suitors. But they did agree a deal to sign Ivan Guessand from OG Nice the forward, the French-born forward who represents the Ivory Coast national team, did score 12 goals and provided 8 assists. That's a 20-goal involvement in 33 League One appearances last season. So that's a player they agreed a deal for, in principle, to sign for 30 million euros plus 5 million euros in expected add-ons. So let's wait and see. Perhaps bringing in that player and knowing that they also have Daniel Malin still on their books could see them further soften their stance. Remember, they were sanctioned by UEFA for 11 million euros for being found in breach of the financial fair play rules. So they need to bring in more revenue in the club. That's why they are looking to move on some players, although the right offers have not come for some of the players that they do want to move on, including the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, is an option among the players that they could look to sell. And then also, while they've sold their women's club to a subsidiary of their parent company, that's the V Sports, those numbers, whatever the value of that sale is going to be, is not factored in by UEFA. They do not count it. And that's why you also had Chelsea being sanctioned for about 31 million euros for being found in breach of the financial fair play rules of UEFA, because they did not factor in the 200 million pound cash injection from Chelsea's sale of the women's side to a subsidiary of Blueco. That's the company that owns Chelsea with Tony Body, and then the 76 million pounds that they raised from the sale of the hotels at Stamford Bridge. So yeah. Then what did I miss? Okay, moving on. We have no depth in the squad, and we are playing UEFA Champions League football. If the Saudis aren't interested in the project, then sell up. Dennis, I want to disagree with you on that. I do not think it's their lack of interest in this project. I think they are very, very interested. I think they will be open to injecting in a good chunk of money. And by the way, if you want to understand my whole context about that particular opinion that you're sharing, please go to the channel under the video section and you look for a video that has the title, Is the Premier League system rigged against teams like against Newcastle and other mid-table teams? And the reason as why I make that submission, because let's not forget, this is not 2003, 2004, where you have an owner like Roman Abramovich walk into Chelsea and injects in loads of cash. It's not 2008, when you have the Qataris coming at Manchester City and they inject in loads of cash. Newcastle's hands are tied in this case. And part of my argument in that very video that I would implore you to go and watch is that what kind of business owner looks on as their business crumbles just because the rules do not allow them to inject cash? What kind of business owner wouldn't want to see their business go from one step to another just because they are not allowed? Now, the same way the Premier League profit and sustainability rules dictate that a club is not allowed to make losses amounting to 150 million pounds in a space of 3 years, we should have a rule that permits clubs to spend a certain amount of money within a certain period when it comes to direct cash injections. Now, because we cannot be asking for teams, mid-table teams like Newcastle, like Aston Villa, to play catch up to teams like Liverpool, teams like Man City, teams like Chelsea, teams like Arsenal, to catch up to them in terms of trying to win the Premier League title, going to the UEFA Champions League season out, while their hands are tied around their backs, because their owners not just come in and inject in 200 million pounds in terms of recruiting players. So that's a bit of an extended argument to really have. Look at the example of Chelsea. Chelsea have apparently signed 49 players in the last 4 years. That's an average of 10 players per year. Actually, perhaps that's an average of about 12 players per year, really, or 11 point something. So you look at that and you ask to yourself, how are we supposed to compete with that? They've spent more than £1 billion on signing in players, and the reason as to why Tony Bolly and his partners were able to spend that is the manner in which they acquired the club. Remember, Abramovich was forced to sell. So the manner in which they acquired the club is what allowed them to spend the way they've spent. But even when they've spent that way, they again faced sanctions from UEFA. Now it's because of the desperation that they knew that they had flouted the rules. That's how they ended up selling the women's side to themselves to try and be in the better side of the profit and sustainability rules. And because the Premier League accepted the sale of the women's team to their subsidiary as well as the 2 hotels, that raised a total of about £276 million. Plus, now they've earned £97 million or slightly more from participating in the FIFA Club World Cup, which they won. That's what you're looking at, more than £300 million as cash coming into the club. And then, of course, they've had some player sales. So overall, they look good on the books. But I think the whole of the Premier League knows it, that they've overspent. They've overspent. But they've been able to manipulate the rules to work to their advantage, which Newcastle do not seem like are able to do at the moment. So before we criticize the Saudis for what we may consider a lack of investment, let's not forget how the rules are sort of tied them back, when it comes to that. That's what I would say. Then GF says he's from Egypt. Good to know that you're from Egypt. Where I'm from Uganda, the source of the Nile. So we do share the Nile there. But it's good to know that you're from Egypt. GF says, I need to go now, and I really love your content. Thank you so much. I subscribe, and if you do a stream tomorrow, I'll come by, my man. Yeah, we do live streams every single day, morning and evening. In the morning, usually between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. That's every single day, Monday to Saturday. And then at night, we usually come on at around 11 p.m. East African time. So if you're in Egypt, it should be around the same time, really. Then says, only other guy I want is Ramos from PSG. Yes, you've been linked with the potential move for Gonalo Ramos, 24 years of age, the Portuguese forward from Paris Saint-Germain, almost always on the bench. I think there's a good striker in there. Ramos is at Corinthians. I think you're talking about a different Ramos. I think Gonalo Ramos is at PSG. Yes, that's correct. Oh, my bad. Okay, I thought you were talking about Sergio Ramos. Sergio Ramos is not at Corinthians. He's at a club called Monterrey in Mexico. Unless he just made a move that I'm not aware about. But last I checked, he was at Monterrey in the Mexican, league there. So that's another point of correction for you. Sorry, another point of correction for you in there. Then also all players that are English that play in the EPL are overpriced. That's why teams, but from France and Germany. That's why teams buy from France and Germany. Yeah, I do agree with you. I've already said I do not know, but for some reason there is an English tax on English players. Look at Everton. They are trying to sign Tyler Dibling from Southampton, and Southampton turned down a £27 million bid from Everton, which maybe was okay. And then Everton went in with a total deal that was worth about £40 million, which was equally turned down, with Southampton saying they want £45 million plus £5 million in easily achievable add-ons, as well as a future 25% sell-on clause. Now, you're talking about a 19-year-old who the Premier League barely knows about. I mean, he did score what? 2 goals, last season. So that's the kind of player we're talking about. Yes, he's a very good youngster, but he's done nothing whatsoever to prove himself. That is really, really noticeable. And that's not to take a bigger team, but I mean, chances are that more people know about Javi Elliot at Liverpool than they know about Tyler Dibby from Southampton. Chances are that more people knew about Liam Delap from Ipswich Town than they knew about Tyler Dibby from Southampton. So again, 19 years of age, but because he's English, homegrown, English born, he's a bit overpriced. Kapiriri Ibrahim says, good morning, bro, but tell about the Eze transfer. Let's talk about that in just a minute. Let me first respond to these other comments and get to you in a bit. Okay. Tirang says hello from Vietnam. Hello to you too. He asks, where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda, a small country, landlocked country in the eastern part of Africa. Thanks, Tirang, for asking. Good to have you. Kindly consider subscribing to the channel, but also liking this podcast. In regards to Ability Eze, Arsenal remain interested in signing him, but so far there's not been a formal bid from Arsenal to Crystal Palace. I do not know what's holding the deal. Whether Arsenal are waiting to first move on some players or a player or two remains to be seen. But so far, Arsenal remain interested, but no bid has yet to come in. His release clause of £60 million plus £8 million in expected add-ons did expire. So that means clubs that are also interested are at liberty to walk into with Crystal Palace and enter negotiations. He has only 2 years left in his current contract with the Eagles, and then also Tottenham as the other team that are interested in his services. And because they did miss out on the signing of Morgan Gibbs-White, who ended up staying at Nottingham Forest, there's increased suggestion that Tottenham could come back in to try and sign Ability Eze, although they also made inquiries about the availability or the conditions surrounding a potential deal for Jack Grealish from Manchester City. That's the 29-year-old. Although I've already said that for teams that are interested in Jack Grealish, including Everton, it's the wages that are going to be a sticking point for all of them. So in regards to Ability Eze, not much has gone on in the last couple of days. Ability Eze would love to return to Arsenal because he did come through the ranks of the Arsenal Academy before being released at the age of 13. So yeah, that's what I can give you in regards to an update for Ability Eze. Then quickly, let's go back to Manchester City in regards to transfers. The incomings, like I said, Jan Reinders from AC Milan for £46.3 million, Ryan Ashnory from Wolves for £36 million, Marcus Bettinelli from Chelsea as the third choice goalkeeper for an undisclosed fee, Ryan Cherki for £34 million from Olympic Lyon, as Sevre Nyapan from Rosenborg for £12.5 million, while James Trafford has joined from Burnley for £31 million. Among the releases or departures include Kevin De Bruyne, free agent, Jacob Wright, Scott Carson, Kyle Walker to Burnley for £5 million, Davin Mubama to Stoke City on loan, Maximo Perrone are there to Como on loan, as well as Simpson Passy to Celtic on loan. Those are the exits at Manchester City. In regards to Man United, they brought in Diego Leon from Porteno in Paraguay for £7 million, Matthias Cunha from Wolves for £62.5 million, and Brandon Mbomo for £71 million from Brentford. The outgoings included Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, and Harrison to Shrewsbury on loan, Marcus Rashford to Barcelona on loan, Radek Vitek to Bristol City on loan, Ethan Whitley to Northampton on loan, as well as Jack Morehouse to Leyton Orient on loan. Those are some of the exits. In terms of Newcastle, Aaron Ramsdale incoming, Antonio Cordero from Malaga as a free agent, as well as Anthony Elanga for £55 million from Nottingham Forest. The outgoings included Lloyd Kelly to Juventus for £20 million, Jamal Lewis released, Callum Wilson to West Ham as a free agent, and Sean Longstaff to Leeds United for £12 million. Then Nottingham Forest have brought in Danny Ndoye from Bologna for £34 million, Igor Jesus for £10 million from Botafogo, while Sheriff Yaya from Rio Ave for undisclosed fee, and Jai Cunha from Botafogo for undisclosed fee. Those are the incomings at Nottingham Forest. The outgoings include Anthony Elanga to Newcastle, Harry Toffolo, Jack Watkins, and Andrew Omobamidele to Strasbourg, Tyler Bidon, Ramon Sosa to Pyramides, Ben Perry, Lewis O'Brien to Wrexham for undisclosed fee, and Matana to Lyon for £6.5 million. Remember the former Arsenal goalkeeper Matana, their US international. Then Sunderland have brought in a multitude of players, including Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen for £17.3 million, Simon Adingra from Brighton, Habib Diarra from Strasbourg for £30 million, Enzo Lifi from Roma for £20 million, Noah Sadiq from Union Saint Golice for £17.5 million, while Reynold Mandava, DJ from Atletico de Madrid as a free agent, Chemstein Talabi from Club Brugge for £19 million, while Robin Wolfis from Nijmegen for £11.5 million. Outgoings include Tommy Watson to Brighton for £10 million, Joe Bellingham to Borussia Dortmund for £32 million, Nathan Bishop to Wimbledon, and Adel Aochiche to Aberdeen on loan. In regards to Tottenham Hotspurs, they brought in a good number of players. Joao Paulinho from Bayern Munich on season-long loan, Muhammad Kudus for £55 million, Kota Takai from Kota Takai from Kawasaki for Frotel for £5 million, Matthias Tels from Bayern Munich for £29.9 million, Luka Voskovic for £9.5 million, as well as Kevin Danso from RC Lens for £20.9 million. The outgoings included Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg for £17 million to Olympic Marseille. This one was almost a forgotten player. Nicky Moore to Rangers on loan. Fraser Foster released. Sergio Reguilon released. Alfie Whiteman released. Damola Ajay to Doncaster Rovers on loan. Alejo Belize to Rosario Central on loan. Then Josh Kelly to Luton for £1 million. Alfie Dorrington to Aberdeen on loan, as well as Tyrese Hall on loan. Then West Ham United have brought in Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice for £35 million. Daniel Cummings from Celtic as a free agent. Haj Malik Diop from Slavia Praha from Slavia Praha for £19 million. Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton as a free agent, as well as Cam Wilson there from Newcastle as a free agent. Outgoings included Aaron Cresswell released, Lucas Fabianski released, Vladimir Kofol released, Danny Ings released, Kamarai there released, then and joined Northampton Town. Katzuma released, Muhammad Kudus for £55 million, as well as Gideon Kodo to Luton Town on loan. And then Wolverhampton Wanderers have brought in Fa Lopez from Celta Vigo for £21.3 million. Jürgen Strand Larsson, Celta Vigo for an undisclosed fee. He was already with them last season. Then Fluminense's John Arias. Yes, Arias are there for £15 million. They joined, as well as David Mola Wolf from AZ Alkmaar for £10 million. Outgoings include Matas Cunha to Manchester United, Ryan Atnori to Manchester City, Gonçalo Guedes to Real Sociedad for £5.2 million. Nelson Semedo released, Tommy Doyle to Birmingham, and Nasa Jiga to Rangers, Bobaka Traore to Metis on loan. Pablo Sarabia released to Al and Jane Al Arabi. Craig Dawson released. Cham Campbell to Stevenage in a free, and Chiquinho there to Alveca for undisclosed fee. So those have been all the incomings and outgoings from all your Premier teams as compiled by Sky Sports. Anyways, guys, it's been 1 hour and about 10 minutes of doing this. Thank you so much for those that have been part of this broadcast. Hi, Ruben. Where are you joining us from, Ruben, this beautiful morning? But thank you so much, Ibrahim Kapiri. What's your favorite team? I would say, okay, football is my favorite sport. I love football. It's first love. So it's my love for football supersedes my love for any team. But I do support Arsenal and I do support Real Madrid and any other underdog on a given day. Usually, yeah, I want to see smaller teams do better. But yeah, thanks for asking, Ruben. What team do you support and where are you joining us from this morning? But thank you so much, John Boy, for being part of. You say Hala Madrid. That speaks to say that you're a Real Madrid fan. Thank you so much, John Boy. GF, it's been a pleasure having you on today's broadcast. And from Bangladesh, Dennis Jukes, always a pleasure to see you around. Thank you so much for your contribution to today's conversation. Tirang, thank you so much. You say, Pedri, how much is the fee for Darwin Nunez? So far, nothing has been disclosed, but Liverpool were quoting figures around 70 to 75 million euros for anyone that wanted to sign the 26-year-old Uruguayan striker. So let's wait and see. We will get to know the details if they once they are revealed. But at the moment, yeah, the reports do suggest that there is an agreement in principle between Liverpool and Al-Hilal for the transfer of the player. Then quickly, okay. Ruben says, what do you think about Vini and Mbappe? They got chemistry. I think the chemistry is there, but it can improve. It can improve. We want to see perhaps what we are seeing between Vinicius Junior and Karim Benzema. We want to see it at that level. I think that's where it should go, but the chemistry is there. Someone called you Mike Tyson. Yes, and I was wondering why they called me Mike Tyson, because I was telling them there's no remote resemblance. I'm not well built, like in terms of having broad shoulders and things like that, like Mike Tyson. But yeah, that's their opinion of me. You'll be surprised with what people have compared me to or relate with. I've had people come onto the broadcast and ask me whether I play rugby or I play football, and in that relating to American football, not football as we know it, soccer. Do you like this World Cup? I can't say I like it, but because we've not yet gotten to see it, I'll say I'm eager to watch it. I'm eager to watch it. Although the timing for it, in terms of the kickoff for some games, some of us may not be able to watch them because some games are going to be kicking off at 4 a.m. And then if you do have a morning routine like some of us, then it becomes a little bit tricky for you to catch up on those games. But I think I'm eager to see the idea of 48 teams and how they go on to compete in a total of 104 games. So that's how I will look at it. I'm gonna put my like. Seems like you're a good person. Thank you so much, Ruben. Then Pedri says, do you like Spider-Man? Not really. I don't know. For some reason, I've always thought of Spider-Man as a kid's, fantasy or thing, to like. But even adults like Spider-Man, some adults. But for me, not really. Julian Alvarez, I mean, what about Julian Alvarez? I know Spider-Man is the nickname for Julian Alvarez. Oh, okay. Maybe he loves, Spider-Man. Maybe he loves, wouldn't you? Where are you from, by the way? I'm from Kampala, Uganda, a small landlocked country in the eastern part of Africa. That's where I'm from. Pedri, when you say Africa, Africa is too big. We have what? A total of 54 countries. So that's an overgeneralization. And by the way, I do not know. For some of the clips that I've seen online, and I know it does not apply for, it may not speak for the entirety of Europe and America, but there's a whole misconception about Africa. Some people are interviewed and they say they think Africa is one country. No, it's a continent full of 54 countries, separated by, man-made boundaries. But our neighbors are Kenya, Tanzania, uh, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Rwanda, and Burundi. Those are our immediate neighbors. And then by extension, you have Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, as well as Sudan from the north. Tanzania has the mountain Kilimanjaro. Yes, they do share that with Kenya, as well as the Masai Mara, which is also referred to as the Serengeti National Park. So yeah, in Uganda we do have Queen Elizabeth National Park. We do have Murchison Falls National Park. We do have Kidepo Valley National Park. We do have the Rwenzori Game Reserve. We do have Gwindi Impenetrable Forest, where you get to do the tracking of the gorillas and stuff like that. So a very, very beautiful place to come and visit. We also have the largest freshwater lake in Africa, which is shared across the three East African countries of Kenya and Tanzania, which is Lake Victoria. And of course, the apologies for that internet glitch. Apologies. Then, okay, what do you think about the Paul in Inter Miami? He left Atletico. I think it's a very good move for him. He gets to reunite with his fellow countryman there in Lionel Messi. Very, very good move for him. Atletico Madrid have been really, really intentional on sort of clearing out the old guard and bringing in some new faces at the moment. Although they will keep some for experience purposes. He quit football to become a bodyguard to Messi. Pedri, really? Why? Anyways, yeah, that's true. To become his boyfriend. I understand you as Real Madrid and Barcelona fans respectively. I understand you taking a bigger team, but it's more than that. It's more than that. Remember, there's a whole composition of players that Messi has played with, and I think Messi was really, really influential in that deal happening for Rodrigo De Paul to go join Inter Miami. And also Son Heung-min is now on Los Angeles today. Was his debut? He played for Spurs like 2 days ago. I do not think he's made his debut yet, but he's traveled to the US to complete that deal to Los Angeles for about 15 million pounds, although some sources had quoted 15 million euros. So, but whatever the case, I do believe the 33-year-old South Korean international is a huge coup for Los Angeles Football Club there. I believe he will make them a better team, especially going forward, as he does approach the evenings of his career. But thank you guys for this fruitful conversation. Oh yeah, today wasn't his debut. I do not think he could have made his debut. Really, I mean, with all the jet lag, having traveled from South Korea. Remember, he did play. Spurs did play against what was it, Newcastle the other day, and tomorrow they are going to be playing against Bayern Munich. So guys, do look forward to that game. In case you do have any interest in watching Bayern Munich or Tottenham Hotspurs, there, I think Son's departure was really, really sad, even for non-Spurs fans. He was the kindest footballer no one could have hated. Yeah, very, very kind guy, very humble, not braggadocious, really, very good human being overall. And for the 10 years he's been at Tottenham Hotspurs, I think he was a very, very good soldier, very, very good servant of the club, and that faith was rewarded with them, winning the UEFA Europa League with him as captain. So yeah, you say my bad, Ruben, and no worries, no worries. We look at each other here very more often than not, so it's all good. It's all good. Guys, it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Allow me to wrap this up for today. Let's meet up again perhaps later in the day if there is any big news to share, or in the late evening. But do not miss out on all those fixtures for club friendlies, for the Africa Nations Championships. Like I told you, there's fixtures to coming on today between their games today between Central African Republic and Mauritania. Tanzania up against Mauritania, Burkina Faso against Central African Republic, and that's at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. There. Did you see the Ter Stegen behavior to Barcelona? Not that I've seen. Kindly bring me in on that one. I remember when Son broke a football player. Yeah, he was inconsolable, really. Bring me up to speed, Pedri, about Ter Stegen and what happened there. But yeah, do not miss out on those games. Then also, like I told you guys, there's it's not just the club friendlies. We do also have the UEFA Champions League qualification rounds. They are ongoing, as well as the UEFA Europa League qualifiers. Those games are on as well, so do not miss out on all that action. In regards to the UEFA Champions League qualifiers, some of the games that should catch your eye at 10 p.m. Nice against Benfica, Feyenoord against Fenerbahce. Those are some interesting games that I think you should look forward to, perhaps watching. Then also Lech Poznan against Crvena Zvezda at 9:30 p.m. Ludogorets against Frenchy Varos there at 8:30 p.m. Salzburg against Club Brugge at 8 p.m. as well as Slovan Bratislava will be in action at 6 p.m. So kindly look forward to that action in case you can spare the time. Okay, you said he doesn't want to sign a form that allows to register Joan Garcia because Ter Stegen is injured. He rejected to sign it and help the club. Well, maybe because he feels that by signing that form, he relinquishes his opportunity to play for Barcelona in La Liga again. Apologies, I need to sign out before our internet has started misbehaving. But I'm sure a solution will be found very soon. It's the first time in history that this happens. Barcelona are considering releasing him. Releasing him will require for Barcelona to sit down on a round table to agree to cancel out his contract and then release him on a free. So, and when it comes to contract cancellation, that means a payout, a huge payout. What do you think about Lamin's party? All those things are bad for his future. I mean, he's an 18-year-old kid. I think we can afford him. We can cut him some slack and the courtesy, regardless of what our personal opinions could be about his behavior when in the context of the party itself. But he's a young kid who is earning lots of money. He gets to spoil himself. He just needs to have the right people around him to guide him so that having the kind of financial resources that he may have at the moment do not sort of impact on his professionalism as a player and also his career going forward, because these are things we've seen one too many times in the game. Young players get paid, lots of money. They feel, they've made it financially. Then they stop caring more about, their professional life and things like that. And then before you know it, their career runs away from them. Let's hope he has the right people around him to make the right choices for himself in life. Then he can't do this in a World Cup season, like just leave the club to guarantee minutes elsewhere so you can be a number one in Germany. I do not think he also has. Did Manuel Neuer retire from the German national team? I seem to remember like he had retired alongside Thomas Muller. But I mean, let's wait and see. No, he has an absolute zero chance of playing for us again. All the club wants is to never see his face again, and he won't be allowed in the dressing room, and he trains separately. Oh, wow! Situation has already turned to that. That's very unfortunate. Then anyway, if he does want to continue playing competitive football, then he should look for a move away. Hansi Flick doesn't want to see him. Doesn't want to see Ter Stegen a single second. We hate such a player that calls himself a captain. He knows his third choice now in Barcelona, and he won't play a single second. By the way, I was left wondering how it was all going to span out when Barcelona went to sign Joan Garcia, but we are also extending Szczesny's contract with 2 years, a further 2 years. I mean, for a player that was called out of retirement, that was a bit of a surprise for me. Not because he does not deserve the contract, but we all know that he was pulled out of retirement. So maybe, and it was meant to be always a temporary fix for Barcelona in regards to that goalkeeping situation. But he did so well that Barcelona chose to reward him, which is okay. He will stay knowing, I think he's going to be number 2 for purposes of this season, and I do not think he has any qualms whatsoever for him to wait and play in the Copa del Rey and perhaps the Super Copa Hispana and things like that. Maybe pick a game or two during the course of the season for La Liga like that. But it's very, very unfortunate that Marc-Andre ter Stegen does find himself in that kind of situation with the club that he's diligently served so well in the past. He also didn't allow any Barcelona doctors. He didn't allow any Barcelona doctors with his surgery. Manuel Neuer is considering coming back from retirement. Yeah, he wouldn't be the first nor the last. We saw it with Lionel Messi. We saw it with Szczesny. We saw. Let's just wait, but let's hope it all works out for all parties. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Let's look to do this again very soon. But it's always a pleasure having engaging, debates and chats with people like you, Pedri, with people like Robin. We will look to do this again very soon. Let me be honest, his performances are like shit. Of course, I would say they've dropped in recent times, but he hasn't always been shit. He has always been previously. He was always one of the best serving players in that Barcelona squad. So let's not forget that. Let's not ignore the fact that while he's not the best at the time, there was a point when he was the very best that there was for a team like Barcelona. We consider an average of 2 goals per match with him. Who is your favorite team right now to win the World Cup next year? Bit of a difficult question, but I think I'd go with Spain. Spain and France, yeah, very, very strong teams. Germany, they can only come with history. Brazil come with only history. But yeah, I think Belgium are not the prime Belgium that we know just gone by. Portugal is a very, very strong team. Although the manager they have, I do not think he's capable of leading them to the triumph of the World Cup. He could surprise us, Roberto Martinez. But yeah, very, very strong team. Argentina, yeah, equally very strong team. But I think if I were to rank them, I would say Spain, France, Argentina, Portugal, in that order. And then maybe add England. But the reason as why I do not rate England that highly is because they do not won anything since since 1966. So yeah, but Portugal is a very, very good team. Portugal with a better manager can do magical things. Imagine Ancelotti with Portugal. Yeah, I think with a better manager, Portugal would be quite the team because they have very, very good players. They have very, very good players, right from their goalkeeper to that backline. Ruben Diaz. You look at Nuno Mendes, very, very good players. Nelson Semedo, all those are very, very good players. You look at that midfield, Vitinha, João Neves, Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo, not at the peak of his career, but we know his capabilities when it comes to buying that ball in the back of the net. Rafael Leao, Francesco Conceição, all those, Gonalo Ramos, all those are very, very good players within their ranks. So, yeah, very, very electric team. With a good manager, I think they're capable of doing better things. I'm a dreamer. Mine is Portugal. Cristiano deserves to end his career with the World Cup. I think that's a wish you have for him, and perhaps most Ronaldo fans wish him to earn that achievement before he retires. But let's wait and see. I do believe that this coming FIFA World Cup could be the last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo in as far as the Portuguese national team could go, unless he wants to surprise us to also be available for the 2030 World Cup that will be played in Morocco, Spain, and Portugal as well, because then that will be a home tournament. You know, I think if Ronaldo wins the World Cup, people will say he's the GOAT because he won it more recently, although Messi won it already. Yeah, Messi has already won it in 2022. Who is winning the Super Bowl? Who is winning the Super Ballon d'Or? That's a bigger debate, but it's one we've had before, and I still contend that for me it's Ousmane Dembele that walks away with it. But Lamine Yamal, Rafinha should be, right there up with him in terms of contention. Also, I do think Nuno Mendes, players like Betinha, players like Akraf Hakimi should really be in this conversation, but because they are not forward players, they do not get to post the numbers that those other forward players do get. Oftentimes they fall behind in the pecking order when it comes to a shout out for the Ballon d'Or. I keep telling people that let's remind ourselves that you had to go back to 2006 to find a non-forward player winning the Ballon d'Or, and then recently in 2018 and 2023, that's when we saw Luka Modric and Rodri bounced back to winning that accolade. So it's the best trophy. Yes, that I agree. Hi, Shumal Nunez is trash. That's your opinion. It's very unfortunate that you consider him, you look at him that way. But I do understand perhaps where your opinion is coming from. Yes, Robin. Okay. Guys. Okay. Yeah. Let's look to have an extended debate on that and more, perhaps in the coming days. Only one player has won it. Which player has won what? I don't know what you're referring to. Please be a little more specific. Read the comments before, please. What comments? I think I've read all the comments. I read the one of Portugal would be better managed by Ancelotti. We digested that. Ruben said he's a dreamer, would love for Portugal to win it. It's a young operation with so much potential. That's true. I think if Ronaldo wins the World Cup, people would say he's the GOAT. I read that. Who is winning this Ballon d'Or? We'll discuss that. No, Super Ballon d'Or isn't the standard Ballon d'Or. Oh, isn't Super Ballon d'Or? What's the Super Ballon d'Or? Are you talking about American football now? What's the Super Ballon d'Or? I know they keep separating those accolades, but what was separating is the UEFA accolades and the French-led Ballon d'Or, unless there is another Ballon d'Or that you're talking about. Super Ballon d'Or is given to players who have won 3 or more Ballon d'Ors. Oh, okay. Maybe Lamine Yamal will go on to win. I mean, outside Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, which player do you think has the capability of going on to win it 3 times or more? It's 2030. The 3-way race is Pele, Ronaldo, and Messi. Wow. Okay, Ruben. Yes, it's for the past ticket. I mean, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo deserve to share that one. For me, Pele is long gone. Past his career, it's for the past ticket. No, Pedri, it's 9. Okay, 3 decades. Messi is gone. He's going to win it. Whoever wins it is the one that they would have decided deserves it. So yeah. But thank you so much for the conversation, guys. Allow me one to my other duties. I do have some other work to get to. It's already actually 11 a.m. Here in Kampala, Uganda. So there's some other work that I need to get to. But it's been a pleasure doing this with you. It's logic. Messi will win it because he has the most Ballon d'Or. Or yeah, it's Ronaldo phenomenal. See you all. Thank you so much, guys. Have a blessed day. Let's do this again later today. Bye bye for now.